The views and opinions expressed on this station do not reflect the owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 6th day of January 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Carla Zul. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share the link on Facebook, start a watch party on Twitter, retweet it. Just get the conversation out there to your network. Another good one today as Tamara Richardson stops by. We're discussing a lot of good stuff. It's almost like it's wellness week, so looking forward to speaking with her about her latest venture. The Daily Play is a say it, don't sing it. So Carla will be guessing the lyrics to a very popular song. So I didn't say easy song, but a very popular song. So this one shouldn't give you much trouble, Carla, but then stranger things have happened. Stranger things have definitely happened in the past. So, we've got a lot to discuss. There's so much that went on in the last 24 hours since we last saw one another. But before look, I know you might be talking about it in your news, but I did see something pop up just now about Dr. Dre, the West Coast rapper in the United States. Yeah. It looked like he said he's doing fine, but looks like he was taken to the hospital for an aneurysm. But regardless of what he's saying or what the situation is, we're all hoping for the best. So hopefully, you'll give us some more in your news report. I stayed up pretty late, Carla. I'm at a 10 p.m. bedtime, but I caught myself tuning into this Georgia election thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing it's kind of like a repeat of the U.S. general election. Like there was, I guess, one person was declared a winner and they're still waiting on the other. I honestly, I'm lost because I've been trying to look this morning to see who won. And it just looks like they're declaring the Reverend guy Warnock as a winner.
There's still no winner. I was just watching a minute of it. Apparently, both incumbents, which were Republican, look like that they're on their way out. But one of them, they said, is winning by about 16,000 votes. And it's a key number because it has something to do with like the November election. But then have you seen the other part of it of what's happening in Washington, D.C.?
So I did see people talking about there's not riots per se, but protests, and they're becoming violent, like the rioters against the police. Is that what you're talking about?
When the mayor of DC has to call the National Guard because the president has called the protesters to come out, like it's serious times in the States.
Yeah. It's interesting times. I came across some things yesterday. Obviously, this Republican Democrat thing is pretty. I just can't. Let me use Bermuda as an example as to why I really try not to get so wrapped up into it. I look at Bermuda, and if you have been connected with me on social media since I joined Facebook when I was still in college, you would know that I do not become ingrained in political parties or politicians to the point where they got a free pass from me. So whether I'll use Bermuda as an example, Dr. Ewart Brown was premier, Paula Cox was premier, Cannoneer after her, Dunkley and Albert. You can probably go through my social media and see the same amount of criticism leveled at each of them. what really, really gets me about all this politics is that people somehow, I saw a comment last night that said that President Donald Trump is the worst president in the history of the United States. And brother, I believe, I could be wrong, I believe he's Craig Cannonier's son, Trey Cannonier, actually had to bring some like intelligence to that conversation. Like, hello, Donald Trump may be a lot of things, but the worst president in the history of the United States? You all know there were presidents that existed, well, in the 1800s and early 1900s, right? You know
He was
what?
slave masters.
Yeah, I think we got so caught up in whatever we want to believe that intelligence leaves us. So I honestly, people, for your own benefit, and again, by no means am I giving a or trying to give a pass to Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Barack Obama, George Bush, none of them. I'm just simply, or David Burt or Michael Dunkley or Craig Kennan or Dr. Brown. I just really want people to understand that you deserve better. And better starts with you. And if there are things beyond your control that are only up to politicians and politics, then you make your decisions accordingly. But
maybe they meant in recent history, because in recent history, he's definitely wearing that crown over that orange head.
But is he though? Is he? Look, I think someone did correct the comment saying, well, I should have said worst in my lifetime. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And again, I try to look at things objectively. One thing I've never been is someone who jumps on board with what's popular. I am okay going in the opposite direction alone. That's fine with me. I just want us to keep things in context. Yes, Donald Trump is divisive based on what I've seen. He's vile. He says whatever he's thinking. It's probably not in the best interest of a functional society.
Mm-hmm.
However, nor is starting pointless wars. Well, then again, that's my opinion that they're pointless. But for the majority of the people, they were against some of the wars that were started in the early 2000s. Donald Trump, from as far as I know, hasn't started one.
You don't remember that this time last year, everybody was on edge because they thought it was going to be a World War III?
Because of the Iran situation, and he didn't do it. It didn't end up being that. I don't know. I'm fascinated when I observe social media, and so people are so into it. And I guess it's just, some people like sports, some people like politics.
Do I see a red shirt under there, Jamal?
No, I am not. Let me make that clear. I am not back on that Manchester United bandwagon. I know people.
No, I didn't mean Manchester United. I meant MAGA.
That was so funny. I forgot to laugh. Isn't that what we used to say? No red around here. No, not even no cup match, no Manchester United, and no MAGA. But moving on. Let's get to the conversation today. So today is almost like we're doing a wellness week. Starting off with Courtney Miners, who is a dietitian and nutritionist, and then yesterday we had Jody Virgil, who is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I saw on Twitter after the show that the guest on the Daily Hour was making me feel like, purging a lot of stuff while going through myself. So definitely had some good people. But my question to the audience today, and even to us, is, what exactly are the biggest takeaways from the first two guests of the year so far? Like, what have been your biggest takeaways?
I'll start with Judy, because like I mentioned, one of the biggest things for me for 2020 has been decluttering on a whole emotional, physical stuff. And I had a closet, like I said, that had been full of stuff. And every year I'm like, oh, I'm not going to bring in this year with it or this birthday, and stuff sat there. And in December, I was like, you know what? I'm had enough. I cleared it out. I donated to Africa, to some charities out here. And then my living room, I wanted it painted. I wanted it to create a place of zen for whether I have to do work or schoolwork or whatever. And so listening to Jody yesterday really made me realize that I'm on the right track. So that felt good. And so now I'm really focusing on the emotional clutter. Now with Courtney, I have been having a health issue for a while and I haven't really done anything actively about it. So I really would like to reach out to her and hopefully it's from my end, not from hers. I know she can do it, is get me on an eating plan, because it's like, if I'm not well, nothing that I do, whether it's work or family life, can be well either. So I'm really, both of their conversations resonated with me.
Indeed. I want to know from the audience as well, like what that's the question, bottom of the screen. What are the biggest takeaways from the first two guests we've had on the show in 2021? I'll just give you a couple things. As far as Jody, something she said that really resonated with me is taking breaks. We have to take breaks, whether it's a step away from social media for a bit, or just doing. This really stood out to me. Doing something different. Yeah. I speak about routines often, like getting into a routine, and it's so important. But sometimes it's important to break that routine and just do something different. Now, let me be clear, to quote our well-spoken premier. I am not going swimming in the summer, let alone in the colder months. So that is not what I'm talking about. I am not Carl Azul or Jody Virgil, but being different. I mean, there are tons of things that, I can go in the Everglades in Florida to go watch gators in the wild. That's different for me. I'm not an outdoorsy person. With Courtney, I really appreciated the way that she explained the difference between dieting and eating healthy. Just dieting has an end date, and I think that most of us really we set goals. Like a lot of people who diet, obviously they want to lose weight, and when you have that end goal, it's like, okay, so when you reach that weight, are you just going to go back to what you were doing before? So I think when she explained that, it's so important that we take that time to really consider what we're doing this for. Is it temporary? Is it long term? So eating healthy, it's good habits to pick up. And for me, I know people say, oh, well, you just go cold turkey. You just, on January 1st, a few years ago, just stopped eating pizza, said no more direct dairy, no more. Well, I was never a big milk person. I could not tell you. I was probably a baby, but I've never, ever said, oh, let me grab a glass of milk. I've never been a big breakfast person, so I've never had cereal and milk, or never really liked eggs and stuff. So for me, cutting out certain was very easy. But I appreciated both of the guests. Like, they were very, I've been pondering over the last, because obviously we have to look at the shows. When I relook at the shows, I go over stuff, and you jot stuff down, and you're like, this really would make a difference.
Well, here's a little giggle. We had to do football last night. Here's another soul story for me. But we were driving through, and I said to Naeem, I was like, my youngest son, I was like, shall we stop at McDonald's? And I'm thinking about Courtney, right? And I'm like, shall we stop at McDonald's? And Naeem's like, I don't really want no French fries, because he doesn't eat meat. He was like, but if that's what you want, mommy, go ahead. So I'm like, nah, man, I got to do better. So we literally get to the McDonald's and the road's closed and I can't turn. And he goes, see?
Not
that's somebody trying to
there you go. There you go. I love it. I love that. There's little signs though. There's little signs. There's the sign. Jody Virgil says, morning everyone. Carla, I love it. Yes, creating zones in your house for different tasks are great. Emotional decluttering starts from within. Kathy Bromby says, if you don't declutter, you cannot be blessed. Marquita Lee says, it's time to declutter. Kathy Bromby says, roll on med beds for health issues. Jody Virgil says, I am like you, Jamel. I live by routines. They keep me grounded, but in order to refresh, we need a reset sometimes. Like this morning, I slept until 7:30 a.m. and will do my walk this afternoon. Speaking of reset, we have Tamara Richardson coming up to talk about reset. But the thing is, Folks, you know me. I'm the guy that was part of Bermudians Against the Draft that fought against conscription. I'm not one for routines. I'm not one for structure. However, mentors and coaches, they tell you, Jamel, sometimes it's not about you and what's best for you. It's what's best for this or that. So I've had to make adjustments. And now I'm into it. It's like, man, all right, let me break this and do this. I'm just afraid that I won't get back to what has been working sometimes. Kimberly Jackson, Carla.
Taking breaks is it for me. I've struggled with this for years and decided to take a break for the end of the holiday this year, and it's the best thing ever. I will do it over the course of the year for a work-life balance.
Judy Virgin says, I enjoy Courtney as well. Great reminder of how making little changes makes a big difference. And Sean Smith, continually working on changing my eating habits. I think that's important. We definitely all collectively have probably a bit of work to do, some less than others. But on that note, let's go to news break with Carla, and then we'll take a commercial break, and we'll be back with our guest for the day, Tamara Richardson. We'll be continuing, and it wasn't planned this way, but our week of wellness. That's what we're going to call it, our week of wellness. Carla, you ready?
Mm-hmm. A senior magistrate said it was abject madness that he could not impose a ban on a ferry pilot who was at the helm while impaired by alcohol, the Royal Gazette has reported. One Wolf said that his inability to pull the license of Ascot Lightbourne, age 60, was a gross leniency caused by laws woefully deficient in these types of matters. Mr. Wolf continued, I wouldn't say it's likely, but I'm certainly thinking about whether or not a term of imprisonment would be appropriate in these circumstances, given the seriousness of the offense. Obviously, it works in his favor that the defendant has no previous convictions, and as it stands, this being his first offense under this act certainly bodes well for him in terms of any sentencing. But I must say, Mr. Wolf continued, that this is something that is in my mind. He was speaking after the St. George's man pleaded guilty to piloting the ferry Serenity while impaired, as well as 2 counts of assault on police officers. Residents in Bermuda are being reminded that adjusted restrictions will take place effectively from 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. The hours of curfew will move from midnight until 5 a.m. Businesses will be required to close at 11. Personal services restrictions will be relaxed to allow for any personal care services that require masks to be removed. In gyms, physical distancing requirements will be reduced from 10 feet between patrons to 6 feet, and the number of people who can attend an outdoor funeral will be increased from 10 to 20. All other restrictions will remain unchanged, including gatherings remain restricted to no more than 10 people, and indoor bars and nightclubs must remain closed. Turning to entertainment news, legendary rapper and producer Dr. Dre says he will be, quote, back home soon, after receiving medical treatment at a Los Angeles hospital for a reported brain aneurysm. The 6-time Grammy Award winner said in a social media post last night that he was thankful for well wishes from family, friends, and fans. I'm doing great, he says, and getting excellent care from my medical team. Well, it's July the 6th, and it's time to snuggle up. What is today? Cuddle Up Day. Did you know that cuddling releases oxytocin? This hormone alone has huge health benefits. Besides giving us warm and fuzzy feelings, oxytocin reduces pain. So when the cold has those muscles and joints aching, cuddling can help to reduce it. Oxytocin also helps reduce heart disease, reduces blood pressure, stress, and anxiety. If it wasn't free, cuddling would probably be covered by insurance because it's such a huge health benefit. How do you choose to snuggle up? That's totally up to you. You can even cuddle up with a pet or a stuffed animal. Just make sure you get in some sort of cuddle time today. You can thank us later. Turning to weather, the high temperature in Bermuda will be 67. The high in New York City is expected to be 42 and 37 in Birmingham, UK. And on a programming note, don't forget to tune into the full100radio.com tonight for Nighttime Jams featuring some of your favorite romantic classics. That's your Daily Hour news break.
So just to be correct, Cuddle Day is January 6th, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, because you said July, and I was like, whoa.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's January. Yes. Why am I got July? See, I'm cold. I want to be in the summer, but it's
Well, I'm
January.
just saying, in places where most of us, the audience, reside, July is a bit too hot to be talking about cuddling. Winter
Never too hot to cuddle. Never.
I knew you'd say that. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with our guest for the day, Tamara Richardson. Like I said, Wellness Week continues.
Good day, Medical House Doris speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare.
I found myself being a caregiver. Even though I was a nurse, I still needed help on, what was available in hospital beds and all that kind of equipment, and I knew where to go. I went to Medical House.
Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products. These same professional quality products are available to you for home health care.
I was very pleased with Medical House and the help they gave me when I most needed it.
Your experience with Medical House is about getting your needs met, but we also try to provide knowledge to help you through whatever you're experiencing.
Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there is private parking right outside the door.
I would recommend them to anybody.
Call or visit Medical House today.
Go Macro started up at the beginning of the millennium in Wisconsin in the U.S. with macrobiotic farming in mind, motivated by the pursuit of health through balanced nutrition. Go Macro is a family-owned company dedicated to living and promoting a natural, whole food-based lifestyle. Like most whole food businesses, Go Macro is also dedicated to bringing you the flavors they love. This month we're featuring Go Macro Vegan Organic Granola and Coconut, Sunflower Seed Butter and Chocolate, and Coconut Almond Butter Chocolate Chip Macro Bars. Lindos, why go anyplace else?
I just want to apologize to anyone who heard me smacking and, throwing down my blackberries and blueberries while Carla was reading the news. I forgot to turn my volume down. If you didn't hear it, then I take my sorry back. But anyway, welcome back to the big show. It's the Daily Hour. Carla Zul, I'm Jamal Hartman. Thanks again to Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, Crimson Multimedia, over there on channel 82 if you have One Communications, where you can watch this and many other Bermudian-produced programs. So make sure you check them out over there on channel 82. Now, let's get healthier. We have another wellness guest today. Look, before we bring Tamara on, let me just say, I need to say this before my coach comes on and gets in the comments. I did not go for a jog this morning. No, I didn't. And I'm gonna tell you why. This is important, and I think it goes with some of the conversations that we have. So the reason I didn't jog this morning, I walked my entire route. But the reason I didn't run is because, you know how people keep saying to know your body? Because I got so little rest last night, I was not afraid to run, but I said, you know what? I'm not going to run today because I don't want to get dizzy or, I know I didn't have a certain amount of rest. So I'll just walk my route this morning. I say that because that's a change that I've made. I remember my wife would go to the gym with me and she'd be like, why are you always overdoing it? Like you're trying to run faster than the next person, or you're trying to, and I that's something that really had to come with me. And so listening to people that come on this show and some of the things that they say is like, hey, stop, don't try to overdo it. And it goes to an article I read this morning, I was going to share on LinkedIn, and it was just about goals. Yeah, you can set, big goals, but make sure that you set attainable goals as well. Because if you just set goals that are so far out, you're going to become so like, oh, well, I'm not going to make it. You're just going to go back to old habits. So set realistic ones that are within reach, as well as, probably bigger ones, like trying to be like Carla every week. All right, without further ado, let's bring in our guests. You're tired of hearing from me. Tamara, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning, Carla. Hi,
Morning.
good morning and Happy New Year to your listening audience.
Thank you. It is a new year, 2021. According to college, July, though, so we're well that is hilarious. But look, you have a lot going on. And this week, I just said this morning, it feels like Wellness Week, and it's almost like, man, it does coming right into your conversation. We've had some great guests so far, but you are doing something new called My Vibe, my Vibe, My Tribe.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
so it's shortened, folks. The reason I do that, it's shortened to MVMT, and I can't get MTV out of my head.
So when you spell it out, it actually sounds like movement when you spell out the acronym. But yes, My Vibe, My Tribe.
I love it. Makes sense to me. But it
that.
goes along with what you're doing. But just speak to us about what this latest venture is about. What a little background on it before we get into the convo.
With Tamara Donnell, really was a passion project of mine. I've basically curated a set of tools that I've gathered across my years of battling what I deem modern Western lifestyle challenges. We've moved inside, away from the sun. We don't move enough at all because we stay seated at a desk all day, many of us. We eat an excess of sugar and carbs, and we lack local, natural, organic produce, unfortunately in favor quite often of what I call food experiments, which are, the more toxic, highly processed food groups. So movement with Tamara Donnell, 2020 really highlighted to me the need for almost a public health paradigm shift, right? In 2020, when the pandemic hit, I saw a public gripped with fear, anxiety, and largely based around their fear when it came to their own personal health. So my goal with Movement with Tamara Donnell is to illuminate a path back to wellness, gather a tribe of women, yes, women, Jamal, gather a tribe of women of like mind and of like vibe, and to curate a set of experiences to help us achieve 1 and 2, that path to wellness and that gathering of the tribe of women.
Indeed. I want to go back to something you said, because we don't talk about it enough. A large amount of us sit for the most part of the day, right? And it was back in 2016 or 17 when I actually purchased a stand-up desk, and I spoke about this yesterday probably. And I find myself standing more when I'm in office. I even have one at my current office. But little changes like that, and that just came from my colleague at the time, now business partner. She had boxes. I said, "What are you doing if there's boxes in your office?" She said, "Oh, it's just not good sitting all day." And then she eventually got a stand-up desk, a pull-up desk. But research says those things are so helpful, and we don't understand. You mentioned being inside, not being outside enough for the sun. We legit do not understand how those simple changes can help us long term. So I definitely appreciate you recognizing that these are the kind of things that we need to be talking about. We need to, it's not just about eating healthy, is my point.
Right. It's to a larger, more holistic point. It's about moving back to all the lifestyle ways that we've moved away from, right? So we've evolved over millennia, but we evolved because we were in the sun, we were outside working, we were gathering foods and food groups that were local to us. We've moved away from that thanks to, modern advances and what have you, but at what cost have we moved away from those things? So yes, we're not dying from the illnesses that once killed our ancestors, but we have a whole heap of new conditions that, some of them so new that many of our doctors didn't even study in medical school. And we have to start asking ourselves, what are we going to do different? Because it's unsustainable, the path that all of us are currently on.
Indeed. I love it. It's I've got to find a men's group like this.
So hence I've basically put together what I call h to the 12. So h to the power of 12. 12 months where we can focus each month on an H. So January is the Heal Thyself month, where we use the power of food and fasting to, again, illuminate that path back to health.
Okay. Speak to us about, I mean, you kind of said it based on 2020, but expand a bit on why you feel this was necessary at this time.
Like I said, it's unsustainable, the path we're on. The coronavirus pandemic has basically shown us that no matter how much insurance you have, no matter how, good you eat, you are not in control. So there's so much talk about self-help, but it's time we talk about helping the self. What can we do to help ourselves live a more whole, more well, more balanced life? That's really it in a nutshell.
Now, Tammy, earlier you talked about why you conceptualized the group, but what type of women do you hope will join your tribe so that they can share your vibe? Oh, you like that?
I'm a firm believer in when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So many, many women I know must experience what I experienced over the last 2 decades. Extremely busy, extremely stressed, extremely stretched between children and parents. Many of us potentially heading into the next phase of life as a woman, which could involve, perimenopause, menopause. Once you hit that age and stage in life, you are almost forced to make changes, because any woman who is at that stage in life knows that you've got to find a way to live better.
She is and reminds me that I might be in that stage soon, because I totally forgot, but thank you.
But the reality is, that's a good thing. We have life, but we have to get back to having quality of life.
Now, on January the 10th, you're about to start a 21-day reset. What can women hope to achieve during this journey with you?
So anyone can definitely participate in the reset. Women typically and traditionally have sort of set the menu in the home. So my hope is that women will bring their families on board as well. But it's modeled after the Daniel fast. So the Daniel fast is something I subscribed to maybe 10 years ago or more, Jamal. You keep track better than I do. And it's basically a return to everything that's natural and that grows from the earth. So the reset will involve, yes, the eating component. And I can go over that in a bit, but just to answer your question more fully, the eating component deals with the physical. The spirit and the mind require a few additional components, in my opinion. Now, in the Daniel fast, that's a biblical fast. So they look towards prayer and scripture, and that's fine. And that works for some. But in my experience, the most important part of this fast has been the development of discipline. Discipline is what will allow you to not be on a diet, but to basically change your lifestyle and change your eating habits for the long term. It's not about the outside, meaning losing weight and how you look. It's about the inside, meaning how you feel. And like I said, a return to wellness.
It's interesting you say that about discipline, because when I stopped, when I took a break from drinking, I mean, it's been a long break. That was July 20.
You're becoming much more tuned in. The fact that you listened to your body this morning is amazing.
That's a big deal, trust me, it is. But I think when we talk about discipline and I think about drinking, and I said, I might have said it on Twitter last week, that my desire to prove myself wrong motivates me. And I think it was more or less, I can stop drinking alcohol. I don't need this. And it's lasted, a year and a half so far. So when you talk about the discipline and maintaining a healthy diet, I think fasting is a great time to reset, but also over that period, you should understand you don't need the things that you actually thought you enjoyed. That's what I get out of it.
I agree. And for me, January, it's not even about what I'm putting in my mouth so much as the habit of self-control that I'm developing. So we often think of habits as, something bad. But if you really think about it, a habit is something that you adopt to fill a need. So at a deeper level, what you're choosing to eat, you really need to begin to ask yourself, what need is this filling? And how can I fill this need in a more healthy, more holistic way?
Yeah.
So we really do need to stop coming down on people, almost making people feel ashamed for making unhealthy choices, for lack of a better word, and start getting closer to what need are they filling by making that choice. And then you can help them make different choices by either solving the need or figuring out a way to fulfill that need in a healthier way.
Indeed. I liked something you said, really stood out. It's not just about what we're eating. It's not. I think people focus on that so much. Like, take time
Right.
for yourself. And just this goes right back to we had Keisha Allen Smith on, Jody Virgil, so many people who have come on here and given, like, it's not just about what we eat, it's what we do.
Right. So Keisha talks about mindfulness, and that is really what it's all about, focusing on the now. And when you focus on the now, you tune in to your body, you understand your vibe, and it does become much more, it does become easier to make better choices once you tune in. But there's definitely a quote that resonates with me. The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. So the 21 days is really about gathering a tribe of people who help to hold each other accountable, but ultimately work together to break those chains, and replace habits that are unhealthy with more healthy habits.
Before I get into asking you, just go over some of the foods, because a lot of people find things like this so restricting, and there's various different ways of fasting and so on. But I want to share a personal story with some folks. So yeah, Daniel fast about 10 years or so. I got onto it. Alroy Smith had bought a Christian group from Atlanta to Bermuda for a concert. They used to have the Hot 107.5 used to have the Christmas concerts, I guess. I forget the names, but anyway, you get my point.
Yeah.
And so I met these folks and they told me about it, and I was inspired from there. The first few years, it was like, what am I doing? And then over time, it got easier. You understood it doesn't have to be boring. So I want you to kind of just describe what the diet looks like, what the fast feels like. Some people, when you tell them you're fasting, they're like, oh, you're not eating?
We're not fasting, we are resetting. And the reset looks like an abundance of things. So I spoke about on my Instagram page, the 6 rules of abundance and the 6 rules of nothing. So if we think about it from that aspect, you won't feel like you are restricting yourself from doing things. You are eating an abundance of fruits, vegetables, and legumes. You are drinking an abundance of water. You are consuming an abundance of positive media, positive information, positive relationships. So when you put yourself in a mindset of abundance, you fill yourself up so much that after day 3, you begin to forget about the other 6 rules, which are the rules of nothing. So the rules of nothing for the reset are: you consume nothing that does not grow naturally from the earth, consume nothing that's animal-based, so meat, poultry, lamb, pork, fish, consume nothing that adds sweet to your meals. And there are ways to add sweet with natural products. Consume nothing that is not water. Consume nothing that is leaven, and this does come from the Daniel fast, the no rising agents, no yeast, no baking powder, and consume nothing that's processed, refined, or deep fried.
It sounds easy when you put it like that.
Rainbow. Surround yourself with positive people, positive energy, and as Carla said today, got lots of hugs.
Hold on, what are you laughing at, Carl?
I'm laughing, right? Because I have a piece of paper in my hand. I was like, okay, so just eat paper. But I caught myself because it speaks exactly to what you're saying about a reset, that you have to adjust your mind in order to do the rest. So I was giggling saying, you are the person just talking to, because I'm hearing everything just fall off the list. I'm like, there goes my pork, my fish, my this, my that. But I get it.
And listen, I come from a 2 cheeseburger a day milkshake drinking background, right? And 10 years ago, I surprised myself. And I learned for myself that it's not a habit so much as it is a choice. But that's easy for me to say no. I understand that a lot of people are where I was 10 years ago, but here are the steps to get where I am now. Baby steps. We start on January 10th. We take it one day at a time. We take it one choice at a time. And I promise you, you will vibrate higher, girl and guy.
So real quick question.
Real quickly, I just want to ask you about language and sharing this message. It seems like language is so important because reset sounds a bit more welcoming than fast or diet, or like, you get what I'm saying? But do you feel like language does a bit more in terms of changing people's mindsets, helping with the mindset?
Words have power, and a lot of the words we use take away our power. So I choose to use words that empower me. So I'm resetting. I'm not fasting. I'm not restricting myself. I'm simply giving myself more of what my body needs. If you tune in and listen to your body will actually tell you what to eat and what you need. If you have to take Tums after every meal, that's pretty much a sign that you're not tuning into what your body needs or doesn't need. I think we've normalized unhealthiness. We've normalized being tired. We've normalized being busy. We've glorified it even. But our bodies are telling us that that's not working. And I own a pharmacy. I'll declare my interest. And I can tell you that our aisles are filled with medicines because we've normalized these unhealthy behaviors.
So I have a question in regards to the food part of it. So yesterday, for example, Courtney was saying, on Monday, she was saying that when you went to consume fresh, and some people think that frozen may is not a healthy alternative. So for example, with this fast and listening to you, it's all natural. But what about, how would a person negate that or work with that if they couldn't afford to eat on the level which is needed in order for the fast to be successful? Like, so could they do frozen broccoli instead of fresh, for example?
So I do understand that we all have different levels of income. Before I answer you though, what I will say is nothing is more expensive than disease. So I will encourage people to think very long and hard about that. But yes, fresh, canned, frozen, those are all acceptable. My goal is just to have people, like I said, develop self-control, hence the rules of abundance and the rules of nothing. So don't beat yourself up if it's not fresh, if it didn't grow in your backyard. Just do the best you can, whether that's fresh, canned, frozen, like I said.
Now, as you're in my age group, and we can't ignore the fact that over the last, I would say more than ever, the last 2 years, women seem to be banding together more than ever to uplift, empower each other. In your opinion, what do you think has shifted and why we're seeing this at this time in our lives as such?
Oh, we're going to get into a much deeper discussion, Carla. There's duality in all things, and there's the masculine energy and the feminine energy, and that's nothing to do with male and female. And I think the world has been in a period of masculine energy for far too long, which is quite often a bit destructive, a bit power-filled, and so that's unsustainable. And now we usher in the period of more feminine energy, which is more creative, more nurturing, more caring. The universe has survived for a very long time. It knows how to bring about balance. And so if we go too far to one side, things quite often swing, back to the other side so that we get somewhere in the middle. So I am very specific about the gathering of women. I think that female feminine energy is powerful. I think long ago we gathered as tribes of women to help each other parent, to help each other care for the community. And I think that energy we've gotten away from. And if we move back toward that, many of us can move back to a more healthy, a more whole, and a more happy life.
Indeed. It's interesting because obviously I've worked with people over the years when I've participated in the Daniel fast, and they joke with me, oh, there he is over there eating his rabbit food. And then last year I remember colleagues saying, why don't you come eat some real fruit, while she was over there eating fries and wings, which I quite enjoy. And it made me laugh because I'm like, but I have a meal with whole foods though. It's just fascinating to see how our habits have changed over time. Let's go to the comments. Jody Virgil says, I so agree with the fact that wellness starts from within. Changes in mindset are vital. I think of affluenza. We have been lulled into thinking that we need all kinds of conveniences. I think of purpose. What purpose does it serve?
Yeah. And ask yourself, when are you happiest? Right? But for me, being outside, not in the hot sun, but outside in the, we'll say January sun, fresh air, that's so much more important than Netflix and everything else that keeps us busy.
That's interesting. It's like we're going, what they say, full circle, coming back to,
a spiral actually within.
There you go. Nikki Michelle says, how does the accountability portion work?
So yes, thank you, Nikki. So I've set up a Facebook group so that we can each check in daily. You can share your meals, you can share recipes, but on a weekly basis. Once you sign on to my website, you can sign on to join the reset. You'll get emails from myself. The first, I think, week we'll share recipes and food lists to help you get started on the reset. But then the Facebook group is really that place for that gathering of the tribe where we can hold each other accountable and have a successful 21-day reset.
All righty. Maria Goda asks, will you be doing a meal plan?
So for the first week, once you sign on, you'll get the welcome email. And then the next week email that comes out will involve the meal plan, a shopping list to give you a week of examples of how to eat. I hope that after that first week, you can either repeat that for the next 3 weeks, or you can get creative. I'm a bit hesitant to tell people what to eat because people have so many different needs. And we really do need to start being honest about the fact that if you have black skin, maybe you need to be out in the sun more because you need more vitamin D. So do what works for you. But yes, I will give you 7 days of a meal plan. But it's 21-day reset.
Does the reset only happen in January, or can a reset be in July, for example?
You can reset whenever you want. And like I said, this is 12 months of returning to our power. So in February, stay tuned. We'll have even more planned. February is about holism, so indigenous health. March is about happiness. And April, my favorite month, my birthday month, is also about homeostasis, which is cannabis. Using cannabis, the plant, to return to full balanced wellness.
Alrighty. Kathy Brumby says, sounds like a lot of salads and vegan meals. Please speak to this.
So what's wrong with that? I mean, you can look on my Instagram page, Tamara Donnell. The movement with Tamara Donnell has its own Instagram page, but my own personal Instagram page is filled with eating the rainbow, plenty of images and examples of healthy, whole meals that don't look like rabbit food. They're filled with color, they're filled with taste, they're filled with flavor. Yeah. And it's 21 days. It's not the end of your life. And my most heartfelt answer to that is it's better to change your life when it's a choice than when your doctor tells you have to change. So sign on for the 21 days. Let's develop that habit of self-control and discipline. And then on January 30th, you can add back whatever you feel like you feel like you miss.
Indeed. April,
I like
speaking of 420. We're running out of time, but let's go to Lamerne Wood says, how does love factor in?
Love is the basis of everything, right? Love is us. So you definitely want to make sure you're in a space where you love yourself, where you receive love from those around you, healthy, sustaining love. So love is everything.
Indeed. And Dr. Maria Seaman says we need more male energy. One last comment before we let you run. Keisha Allen Smith says, great way to start the year. The reset will improve your physical, mental, and emotional, spiritual, and well-being, and assist us with strengthening the mindset to be disciplined and consistent. With that said, Tammy, is there anything you want to leave people with? Like, let's drop those handles, how people can get in contact and get this reset going.
So people can get in contact with me on Instagram, Movement with Tamara Donnell, but Movement is MVMT with Tamara Donnell. I'm on Instagram at Tamara Donnell. And then, like I said, on Facebook, we have a group that you can sign up for, Heal Thyself 21-Day Reset. But if you find me on Instagram, that will definitely take you to everything else you need to know. I also have a website that I'm developing, but you can sign up for the reset on there right now, tamaradrichardson.com.
I love these conversations. I really do, because I want people to understand it's not a judgment thing. It's really not. I think Tamara made that clear earlier. It's really about letting people know there are options. There are better ways. And I think you shared with me years ago a picture. I'm always doing this to you, right? But you shared with me years ago a picture, and it was basically, this is a better doctor than a human being. Like, basically it was a food chart with healthy foods. But what you said just now is like, let's not wait on a doctor to tell us what's wrong. We what I started doing before Tamara goes, I want to let people know how I started doing things. I started looking up the benefits of certain foods. So ginger, I was explaining to Carla on the air the other day, the juices that I make, why I include turmeric, why I include ginger, and then why I drink beet juice. Like 2 years ago, I didn't understand the benefits of eating these things.
Yeah.
So now that I understand it, I make sure I consume them. Go ahead.
I know you're running short of time. So the brain only has a certain amount of capacity. And I know if we hit people with too much information too soon, many people will check out. So baby steps. Right now, don't focus on the lettuce on your plate. Focus on the fact that we're trying to develop discipline and self-control. Allow yourself to try something new. Allow yourself to focus on eating the rainbow. Let's not think about what we're not eating. Let's just think about what we're going to have an abundance of. And then we begin to build from there to talk about what supplements you need, what autoimmune boosting, anti-inflammatory foods we need. So that comes February, March, April as we move on. But initially, I want to be very specific. Our goal is to develop discipline and self-control, because that's going to allow us to truly tune in, vibrate higher, and get back to that more whole and wow living.
Indeed. Tamara Richardson, thank you so much for coming and having this conversation. Definitely want to have you back for April. What? Right?
I'm in.
Sir, make time for us for April. I definitely want to talk because and on a real, I think that cannabis is an important conversation that has only had negative connotations within our community, especially. So I definitely would love to go deeper, if possible, about that, if you're open. But thank you so much for today, and we look forward to talking to you further.
Thank you for having me. And we can definitely talk about cannabis before April so everyone's ready for April.
Do we have any pre-samples?
Well, we are working on samples, yes.
Have a great day. Talk soon.
Have a good day, Tammy.
Bye.
All righty. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with the Daily Play and the inspirational thought. Stick with us. Carla, you're funny.
Bermuda, do you know the difference between internet and Wi-Fi? Don't worry, neither did I. Let me break it down to you. Internet is delivered to your modem, which then has to push the Wi-Fi signal into the rest of your home. Do you find that the further you're away from your modem, the weaker your Wi-Fi signal gets? That's because Bermuda's homes are built hurricane tough. It's really difficult for that Wi-Fi signal to reach every room. But you're in luck. Our One Home Wi-Fi solution guarantees Wi-Fi coverage in and around your home with the help of our Eero devices. Plug in the Eero around your home and it will create a mesh Wi-Fi network in every room. Check us out at One today to sign up and make sure you can stream, work, and play from every corner of your home.
Welcome back to the big show. Carla Zul there, Jamal Hartman here. Thanks again to One Communications. Also, thank you so much to Tamara Richardson for coming and extending the conversation on wellness this week. Don't forget, we have Megan Nisbet coming on. We're talking about financial resolutions tomorrow. So look, finances, we need healthy finances as well. It's not just how we eat, what we make space for. It's so many things that can lead to a healthier lifestyle, stress-free lifestyle, and finances are a big part of that. So make sure you tune in tomorrow as well. So Daily Play, guessing song lyrics. All right, Carla, very easy. Well, no, I didn't say easy. Very popular song. Quote, help her out, folks. Quote, here we go. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. End quote.
That was my graduation song, The Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston.
See, you get one of those.
Can I sing one? And if by chance that special place, that was my part. It's more about, you know what, out of time.
Wow.
That you've been dreaming of.
I'm actually proud that you got that. Someone said Michael Jackson. No, it's
Renita, you're acting like me.
Don't be Carla today. Carla does quite well. She's 1 and 2 this year, folks. That's our first one for the year. So yes, yes, please, Carla, stop. Yes. That was Whitney Houston, Greatest Love of All. Carla, you got any inspiration for us?
I do. The greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude. Oprah Winfrey.
Attitude is everything. Attitude, mindset adjustment. Folks, it's within us. I say it all the time. It is within us. All right. Carla, any final words based on today's episode?
If we really took a moment to listen to Tammy, take away about the food and listen to the reset part of it. I think that's the part that resonates the loudest. So let's reset, people. Let's do it.
Indeed. So, thanks so much to Tamara Richardson. Really, really love those kinds of conversations. Again, forget about what you can't have or don't or miss, but focus on what you can do and what you can enjoy as part of your reset. The truth is, we all need a reset. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Carla Zul. I'm Jamal Hartman. Check you later.